Everybody's in the room.
All right, go ahead.
It is 7:01 p.m. on Tuesday, August 6th, 2019, and we're going to open the Committee of Committees meeting. Will you do roll call, please?
Yep. Committee members Chris Samples.
Here.
John Talbot.
Here.
William Luxinger. Here. Dina Simpson.
Here.
Jen Christensen.
Here.
Jared Doan.
Here.
President Rick Worm.
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onabini.
Here.
I, Sandy Mazen here. We do not have an attorney. Engineer Matt Hansen. Here. Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie.
Here.
And Park Supervisor Kenny Leamer.
Here.
All right, we'll entertain a motion for the July 2nd minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 2nd.
Dina makes a motion to approve the July 2nd, 2019 Committee of Committee meeting minutes. Jared seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign?
I'll be abstain.
Motion passes 7:02. Under me, we have the discussion of the draft ordinance regarding video gaming. It is verified with Sandy that it is a change, effectively just putting it to the, follow the state statutes on it, rather than us keep changing it over and over again. So that would allow currently 6 in the establishments, 10 in a truck stop that sells more than 50,000 gallons of diesel. $50,000? No, it's 50,000 gallons. Yeah, of diesel. Which we don't currently have, but that, is there any,
Does it affect anybody that currently has gaming already, that they have to make changes then, or no? Yeah?
they could add?
Yeah.
One machine?
Okay, so does it make them less than anything they're doing currently then?
No,
Okay.
they're all eligible for an additional machine,
Okay.
though, under the state statute, so we're just moving up to be in compliance with
Super.
that.
Thank you.
If there's anything further, we'll move that to the agenda for next week.
Just out of curiosity, you could deny that?
No.
All right.
We had to update our ordinance
All right.
to
So
match
instead
it.
instead of us keep changing numbers every time the state does, we just put it to
No,
where...
but I mean, there's a lot of times you can narrow, a state statute, but you can't expand it. So I was just wondering if they could have left it at 5. I don't know why you would. Well, I don't know what the
You
difference
can
between 5 and 6 is.
It would be the other way around. We can't limit a state
You
statute.
can always toughen it up more if you want. Always make it tougher. You just can't make it
Yeah.
more leniency than the
Right.
state standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
5
not what
would
you
have been
said.
tougher.
That's not what you said.
Wouldn't 5 be tougher?
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know,
I got you.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's 5 or 6. It won't make a difference.
More money for us.
Okay, on to Sandy for a really good idea.
So during one of the conferences that I attended this past spring/summer, I ran into another clerk whose town has something they call a do not knock registry. So essentially, the residents can fill out a registration form saying that I want to be on a do not knock registry, and that registry is then handed out to anybody who comes in for a solicitor's permit, and is also put on our website, and the people are told that they are not allowed to go to those homes because those homes do not want to be solicited. Do you have the links the 2 links I sent you?
That's possible.
I sent it this afternoon in all caps.
No,
So,
that's,
can you do the second one down? There we go. So Rick's gonna show you, something that, this is Charleston, Illinois, if you scroll down.
Can you make that larger when you get there?
There you go.
Block the knock.
Yep. So, they give out the sticker on the one side that the residents can put in their home, letting any solicitor know that they don't want to be solicited, and then the other part is their application part. Addresses only appear on the list. They do not put names on the list for the public or any of that, so it helps keep, everybody's names private still as much as we can in this day and age. But it doesn't cost us anything. Well, there's some manual labor parts, maybe some printing costs, but that's about it, and it's something that we can offer to our residents. So I just want to make sure,
Some would really like it, I'm sure.
yeah. Is there any opposition to us doing something like this?
They still got community if you have no system stand behind your door.
Yeah, but then we could pull their permit, right?
Yeah, so John's right. If we did something like this, if a solicitor did knock on somebody's door that is on the do not knock registry, we would have the ability, I would make sure that part of the contingencies would be that we would have the ability to then pull their solicitor's license.
So it'd be in the language, if they knock on a do
Yeah.
not knock, they,
Yeah.
that's fine.
That's just people selling, right?
Yep.
Alright.
Yep, it doesn't apply to minors or, not-for-profits still have to register, so they'd also have to apply by it too.
I was thinking more of a religious organization.
They still also have to register.
They do?
They do. Unless they're not selling.
Well,
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
selling
yeah,
No, no.
it doesn't apply to them.
Right, okay.
Salvation.
There you go.
They're selling salvation.
So the Jehovah,
It's free.
the Jehovah Witnesses
Salvation's
that
free,
knock on
apparently.
the doors are supposed to have a permit?
No.
No, they're not selling anything, well,
No.
except
Oh,
for
they are.
salvation, as Rick pointed out, so.
It's priceless.
Is there any opposition to me tweaking our ordinance language a little bit into adding this type of program in there?
Tweak away.
I like it.
No, can we call it block the knock?
No,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's probably trademarked.
A block the knock
They
program.
call it
Don't
the
knock
block
me
the
up.
knock.
We could call it don't
I
knock
like
me
those
up.
little
Yeah.
kinda,
All right.
Wasn't mine, as I stole it from somebody else.
All right, I will work on getting that program in place. I figure it's something we can offer our residents with little to no cost on our end and little to no, paperwork on our end as well, so.
It is not a trademark.
You don't want the other one?
What other one?
The link.
No, the
Okay.
other one, I put it just in case.
All right. Anything further?
No. I feel like there was, but I didn't write it down, so no.
Brenda?
I have nothing tonight.
Oh, Matt?
All right, going down the list of projects, the Harvest Glen Plat 10 Phase 1, still working at trying to get the final little grading and, seeding done along the, concrete, ditch there. First we had too much rain, and now it got too hot and dry to seed, so we're trying to find the right mix, and we'll get them in there hopefully within the month here to get that finished up. Phase 2 of Plat 10, Martin's got all the, entrance culverts replaced, and have got the concrete, gutters and the drainage easement, ditches in the back lots of Frosty Morning and Sunny Hill Drive completed. Construction's been slowed a little bit. There's a NICOR ComEd conflict at the southwest corner of Frosty Morning and Golden Prairie. NICOR was gonna come in to relocate, some gas work, and ComEd's in their way, so they gotta get... It's the chain of events here, so... the microsurfacing project, ACP paving, plans to be in there the week of August 26th to start work. The seal coating project's been completed by Civil. The sump pump project's been completed, the sodding's completed, and they've completed the watering, and they'll just kind of taken over the watering of the sod at this point. Nothing on the sidewalks, park ponds, nothing. Maintenance building, water main extension, Autumn Wolf Lane water main extension. Contractors completed all the testing, and the operating permit's been obtained for that. And new services are in as well, so that project's close to being finalized. We'll be talking a little bit more tonight on the water and sewer rate study. Talked about before the meeting, Hawkins did get in today and got all the chemical feed equipment replaced in the well building, so that should be good to go. Nothing on the 251 going north. The 251 water main extension going south, all the water mains in, mains been pressure tested, we've got the samples taken, we just got our verbal operating permit from the EPA today, so you're free to open the valves if you want to put it into service, so. And then Verizon Wireless, Dan Bolin sent an email to Verizon, on August, or not the date here, but basically telling them that this past month that basically the village expects them to complete what they said they were going to do at when they came to see you at your April 23rd meeting by August 21st. So as of Friday, Dan had not heard anything back from them yet.
Running out of days.
They're running out of days, is right.
I think the board was very clear on what they wanted.
Yep.
I hate to see it come to that, but if it does.
Any,
Really that fast?
what's that?
You really that fast tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn, he's on fire.
Any questions?
I like that picture. We'll leave that one.
That's for Kenny to discuss.
I know, but it looks nice. All right, so nothing further? We'll move to the committees. Community development events.
Friday night, we had our second movie of the summer, Incredibles 2, and what I've heard, it wasn't very
Anybody show up?
well attended. I was not there, but Kenny said that they,
They said approximately 50 to 60 people came to the movie,
About 30 went off.
so it was obviously a very poor turnout, especially for as nice as the weather was. So, I don't know.
Oh, no, never mind.
The August movie always seems to be low, unless,
Yeah, this was, John,
This was the June.
this was
this was the June, it was.
It was the
a rainy
reschedule.
but still, I mean, just August, the month, maybe we should just do one movie.
Everybody's on vacation.
Well, we had talked about that, and we were limited to when we could schedule them. And we did they had Friday nights left, so we did it, and it's also was the fair weekend.
It was fair, and we had the best
So-
attendance we've ever had,
so-
so.
Either
yeah.
way, it was the point
But
of,
we always do good in July,
It was rodeo on fair.
that's about the
night.
only one we do really good
Yeah.
in is July.
so I mean,
I know,
I don't matter.
but
Yep, then we can,
What do we pay for movies now?
it depends on what we do, how many we do. I can't remember off the top of my
It's
head.
like
but-
$3,000.
I still think the two is just fine, I just think it's the matter that we had to reschedule it, that's the only thing that really affected it. I think otherwise, if we wouldn't have had to do that, you'd have still had great attendance.
So when's the next one?
Next year.
Oh, there are,
Yeah, we just went two.
oh, so we're just
Yeah.
gonna do
Yeah.
June and July, you don't do August at all? I guess that's what you're saying.
Price
I am-
difference between one and two wasn't that great anyway, right?
The what?
No.
The price difference
No.
between one
No,
and two wasn't that,
no, it
that
was
much.
not.
We should do The Secret Life of Pets next year with,
I'm starting to, plan the Halloween party gathering. I believe that's gonna be on October 12th. I have to double check with Jess what date it was I said. I can't remember.
So are you gonna, is it a fall, is it just a fall party? or are you-
fall
Okay,
what,
is that what you're gonna do then?
Yeah.
Okay.
last year we started Christmas in July. Now that a lot of that was already in place, are we gonna
I'm
start that a
gonna,
little later?
I believe I reserved, I believe just reserved the October and the December dates, and I believe because of how December falls, 'cause I believe the first is like a Sunday or something like that.
It is.
I think I did the 7th,
I think you did too. I'll have to confirm with John.
and I believe I have booked and confirmed the horse already. I did that right away in January, but I have to double check with him too. 'Cause he told me right away, so I got on him right away, and just to make sure we're on the same page. And I don't know, do you think we should probably start getting letters sent out to
Yeah, you want me to do the same
Sure.
letters for you?
churches or whatever, yeah, the organizations, or I have contacts too.
Well, I can do those same letters we did last year.
You know, 'cause I know like the Methodist church here, they did the cookies, and I know there was such a huge turnout with those, so they kinda have an idea of how much to do. And I know the, Grace Fellowship Church did that skit, that was really good.
Yeah, we need a microphone.
Yes.
Microphone this year.
At least this, they'll get some head start on different things, but. And then I know I had discussed with the paint in the park thing. I've had some other ideas, some other activities I've looked at that other towns have done, so I'm planning on maybe being able to do 2 to 3 new activities hopefully next year within our community, just to do some different things, so. If we drop a movie, only do the one movie, and maybe we can get a couple more activities in that are different things to see how attendance is on those, so. That's all I have.
Okay. Finance?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
ordinance enforcement.
We'll try the do not knock stickers before we put up signs, so skip me.
You wanna table that till later?
Yeah, we'll see if them little stickers.
Or do you wanna do them in conjunction?
Well, can I ask what your idea was? I wasn't sure when I put it on the agenda what your idea
Put up no
was.
soliciting signs, 'cause I get too many damn phone calls, people calling me saying they're knocking on my door, and they don't have a permit, so I mean, it gets ridiculous that I get all these phone calls of these people knocking, calling me, saying, hey, I got solicitors. So I'd just like to keep them out of the village,
Like no
Permanently.
soliciting at all?
no soliciting at all.
I don't think we're ready to take position that there's no soliciting banned in the entire village.
Is that legal?
Other towns have taken that stance.
You
that's-
can,
Other towns
however,
have done it.
What's that?
I believe you can ban it entirely, but it's kind of
Or put up a sign,
intrusive to our own residents also.
you know, underneath of it. like-
Without permit.
Yeah, without permit.
Well, so, after this came up in the clerk's email chain, somebody had actually asked about signs for the entrances to their
Mhm.
municipality, and, I did not stick it in the board packet because I wasn't sure exactly what you were talking about, but Monroe Center actually has one that says, no solicitation without permit, and then lists their ordinance number, and it is listed on the entrance to their town.
That's what we
And so
need.
maybe something more along those lines that just reminds the solicitors coming into town that we do,
You know,
that they
one
do
at
need a
Harvest
permit.
Glen, Autumnwood, Northwestern, and coming into town. Because they really don't care about the original part of town, they hit subdivisions.
Because they're closer together.
well,
Yep.
there are four main roads leading into town.
Yeah.
Two of them, though, I know that we'd have to deal with IDOT to get those signs.
But I mean, if we can get them, it might, you know, work with the stickers too. And tell them that they gotta have a permit before they start knocking on doors, or violators will be prosecuted.
Is anybody opposed to us looking at the cost of signs for the outside of town?
Do you think it, I mean, I'm not opposed to looking at a cost of it, I just don't know if it'll change, do you think it'll change people doing
Think it won't deter them, huh?
I don't know, I mean,
I doubt it.
they're so persistent, I just don't know if it would, I mean, I'm not opposed to finding out prices on stuff, I just think I don't know that it'll change what.
I think if
Make
it
it
says
legible.
permit required,
Yeah, something like
might
that.
scare 'em away.
I
No.
don't think it is.
There's sign places
Yeah.
that make them really cheap.
I'm uncomfortable with you.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, that one's a little bit different than what the signers got, but,
Soliciting without permit not permitted, get out.
Cause it's gonna start
no.
to get pretty busy here pretty soon, 'cause you're gonna have all the school kids out here selling candy bars. I mean, I don't care if it's the community, but like the outside schools, like
if
Oxford
they're under the
schools,
age of 18, there is nothing I can do about that. We do not require solicitation permits for minors.
well, them Rockford schools, they're over 18. But this is about the time of the year Dish Network comes out, and
Never had them come to my house.
I don't know if it'll help or not, but I am looking into, no Jake breaking signs as well, Jared, so maybe we could tie them two together if possible, at least on the two,
not too,
yeah, on the main road here. The other ones, we could just do the regular soliciting if that's what the route we go, but I am looking at doing the Jake break signs, so if we could use, because it is, John and I have been through this, it is quite an ordeal to get signs approved through IDOT, so it's quite
Go ahead
a,
and do 'em.
it's quite a deal, but it's doable, it just takes time. It just takes time. Yes.
So,
Forgiveness later.
I did not send this for review, but anybody who can see this, the bigger sign on top is the no engine braking sign, and then the lower sign is Monroe Center solicitation by permit only ordinance number. And so it's two signs, one pole. And it is an IDOT's right of way, so hopefully that means that we'll be allowed for it too.
Never know with IDOT.
Do you mind helping me come up with the cost for that, and then we'll let them know?
maybe like 4 of them, one coming in from Junction, one at the tracks.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And
four
then-
Yeah.
entrances to the
It would
village.
be the 4 entrances, yeah.
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 Well, well, you'd have to go past one of them to get into town.
As long as you stick it on this side of, 251,
Yeah.
you're right. You'd be
Assuming it
able to-
deters them at all.
I don't know that it necessarily deterrent is what my goal would be. It would be informing them that they need the permit to begin with.
It's the
'Cause
point that
a
it's
lot of-
posted, so we can refer to it if they
Yeah,
can't
well,
see it.
and a lot of
they
them, I don't know that they look at our website to determine that they need one, or they're not calling Village Hall first to find out. So this would give them no excuse as to why
Wow.
they didn't know.
There are people in the business, they know that there
I
are
know.
probably permits
Yeah.
required for most places.
Yeah.
And then you get the people with the vests, send their other people out there, and then they say, oh, well, we got a vest, we got another guy, so they send multiple people out there.
Each individual has to have their own background check
But what they
done.
do
They share the vest.
is they share the vest.
They can't, because, so the vest is just step one of a two-phase process. The vest lets the resident know from afar that they've been approved, but the second one is on the corner of the vest, they have a permit with their photo and
Oh,
their,
now they got their photo now?
it always
Yeah.
has, it's always had a photo. So we take their driver's license photo and attach it to their permit, and so on the corner of their vest is also a badge that shows their photo and their permit number, and when it expires, and it has my signature on it. So, it's kind of, we did the vest so that people would know from afar whether or not it's an instantaneous.
Is there a way, and you might have already done this too, but like on the village, page, can you put out there just as a reminder?
I think we
for-
did,
on
I
those-
think she does do that.
Okay, 'cause I haven't,
We, so when we
Wow, so-
have a solicitor, we had an incident a few weeks ago with a unapproved solicitor that we had to have escorted. And, that when we realized that person was an issue, we posted that same day on our village Facebook page and I believe on our village website, letting people know that we had no solicitation permits out there right now. And then every once in a while, Jess also puts out there, a photo of the vest and what a
Okay,
sample
perfect.
permit, and I believe it's actually on the same notice.
okay,
So we
Okay.
do, and then when we had the approved solicitor, I think she also put on the Facebook
Mhm.
page that there is one approved solicitor within the village. So we're trying to let the residents know in quick communication style if there is or is not an approved solicitor within town.
super.
We're trying.
That's it for me.
Okay. Parks?
Is that yours, Kenny?
Yeah, just a quick update, now that the tournaments have slowed down for a little while, we got teams in here doing tryouts and everything for fall ball, but we were able to finally get the basketball, well, first we'll start, we built a retaining wall around the memorial. Mainly it was to keep clippings and weeds from growing into the mulch, and mulch working its way into the grass, and I think I actually added a little curb appeal, so that's been completed last week. I think it turned out pretty good. Employees did a really nice job on it, and then we were able to get all the basketball nets up finally. Turned out to be obviously a little bit of work because of the concrete issue, but they're up, and it seems like they've been getting a lot of use.
I've heard lots of compliments.
And last week, it's looking like the third week of August tentatively to have the court resurfaced. Hopefully tomorrow or next day or before next week, I should have a color chart so we can discuss what colors we might wanna do when they redo it. Come up with a game plan on it, and then hopefully, like I said, the third week of August, as long as they stay on schedule, they should be out here to do that.
And we'll
Can
post.
I make
should
a
just- yeah,
suggestion?
just-
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure?
Unless the board's gonna override me, I would just give Kenny the direction to pick the colors. Let's not place this in a
Oh,
bureaucratic.
that's not coming back on me.
There's no coming back,
No,
you know, there's no coming back. Green and gold,
I'll help you.
red and black, I don't care.
I said green and blue.
If we put this to the committee level, it's gonna be
Yeah.
nitpicked for 2 months.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be in the
Just-
winter,
we
and it
trust your
won't be
judgment.
painted,
Okay.
and we're gonna be arguing
And if
come
people
March.
complain about it, they can still come to us.
I'm fine with opinions, I'm not asking you to
I
make
would
a final
say pick it.
decision, but right now,
I don't care.
that
Green
used to
gold.
be green
No.
and
Green and
black,
blue.
and that's how
I don't,
faded
I
out it
don't
is.
care what color, if we bring it to the board, it'll be nitpicked, and it'll be discussed for months, and then it'll be too cold to paint anything, and we're gonna be back here in April arguing about painting the damn court again.
Let Fergie
Just
pick
bring
it.
it into Village Hall, we'll take care of it.
Right, and obviously,
Tell them what color.
and I've
How you
asked
do
them,
it.
you know, certain colors fade faster, And
You
obviously,
know
so-
that.
You
We
know that,
don't.
so pick it. We don't,
So, you know, I'm asking this company what they're recommending color-wise and what seems to be holding up the longest, hopefully. I know a lot of people are doing blue, but obviously it's gonna
So be
show
it.
every last speck of dirt on it, but,
Black and blue.
yours.
I said blue and,
I say pick, just pick it.
blue and green.
Yeah, I don't care
I don't
what color
care.
it is either.
okay,
I
Feel
trust
free.
your judgment. You know more about it.
You've got the recording to back you up.
okay, thank you.
Just pick it.
Add a side note to that, so Kenny has, worked with Village Hall, and we actually, posted on our Facebook when the courts were closed, and we posted again when they were open, so if everybody wants to follow the village on Facebook, the official village site, I'm assuming we will post again when it closes for the painting, and then we'll post when they're open again.
Yes. Maybe, and actually, we're finally starting to do all the fence repair on the outside of the park now. We had a lot of bad sections this year, so, it's gonna take us a while, so, but they're working on that now, and then fall ball should be starting, probably first week of September, right after Labor Day, we should be going with tournaments again, so, that's about it for now.
Just go pink and white.
Well, whatever color, it's gotta look better than what it does now.
Cancer awareness.
Pretty bad now.
Streets and ditches?
The pond.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to touch on this.
No, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, just grab the pictures.
But I'm not sure what exactly the scope of the, restoration was meant to be.
Well, like I said, the bottom is basically cleaned out, as you can see. You know, it's not a nice, smooth, you know, you're not gonna get in there and mow it with a mower or anything like that. I mean, it's still really rough in there, but the majority of the vegetation is gone. They're kind of out spraying too, because unfortunately, once cattails start, it is very difficult to get rid of them. So they're still kind of working on that, but like I said, it is basically open now. The homeowner, they have a little bit of work to do down, at the outfall there, the flared-in section. You can see there's still some work to do there. But the homeowner did ask me about the trees on the berm all the way around it. I told her at that time, I said, why don't we just kind of get the bottom figured out and fixed, then we'll work our way up the slopes, because the trees don't obviously slow the water down, so because they're on the berm. So right now, I'm not too concerned with that. It's getting the bottom dialed into where we want it. So, but that's kind of up to all of you. I mean, I don't know how far we want to go with this, or if we're...
Who maintains that? Who does the maintenance, or the cutting, the rest, for that section? The homeowners?
Yeah, we don't step foot on there.
No, I know we don't. I just didn't know if that was part of, the association's responsibility, because they do the other, don't they do the other retainage
The
pond?
other one is owned by the HOA, this
Yeah.
one is owned by the
This one is
homeowners
property owner.
with an easement.
All right.
So, like I said, I don't know how far you want to go on that. I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, the trees on the berm don't really bother me. I did inform her if, you know, whatever the board decides on that, if we have to get in there and we have to take trees down or whatever to do it, we don't replace them. So, and she's well aware of that, had no issues with that, but once again, that's up to you all as well. So that's just a quick update on the pond.
So in reality, they'll have to keep this mowed, so,
It will have to be, yes,
Yeah.
maintained to that, yes,
so
yes,
that's probably pretty good.
yes.
Any other opinions from the board here?
We probably need to make sure that it's draining correctly.
Mhm.
That's gonna be one of the biggest issues, I think, if it's really lumpy
Right.
on the bottom, you could have improper drainage, and you're gonna retain water in there, which we don't want.
Right, and that's another one of those deals where is that the village employees, or are we gonna remain neutral on this and have it
They're
engineered?
supposed to repair it.
I believe
Um,
my recollection from the last time we discussed this was that the homeowner was gonna bring it up to compliance of what they thought was compliance, and then I thought we were gonna have the village engineer double check the compliance once we got there. But I don't know if the homeowner's there.
Yeah, like I said, I just need to know the next step for us. Are we shooting grade in there and checking for fall, or are we stepping back and letting the engineers do that? That's just where I need to know where we're going.
I checked with Corey, because I saw it on the agenda, and he was told to, I don't know if that, he didn't say, I assume Dan told him, August 29th, he was supposed to go back and see what the status was.
That's probably direction from Dan, because that would be when the next deadline is.
which would, Dan's.
But we don't
would've been
expect
a
them
must.
to, do you expect them to do further on the bottom? Besides that one area?
Like I said, they were gonna finish cleaning up around the flare, and then they had a couple piles they had to get rid of. They were spraying the cattails. So I really don't know how much further they're gonna go. I don't know. I haven't spoke with them since that day, and that was basically just when I was out taking pictures and we talked about the trees and, So-
It will be interesting to see, though. I think we need to find out how far off of the original
right.
project is. We've got the numbers from when it was built,
Mm.
so we should be able to tell where we're at now.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as shooting in and out, to see what your overall fall is and then shoot between, so.
It would have filled in somewhat anyway, though, right? I mean, maybe not as much, but they would have got
Grass
sediment
clippings,
in
it
there.
would start to
Yeah,
build up,
it's,
but
I'm sure that soil has shifted, it's moved around.
You can let us know that, Matt?
Yes, yes. Grab Mike and you guys could do it in a couple
Not a problem.
minutes.
Yep, he's in town anyway, so.
Then I wanna let the residents know that or actually ask you, so that we can let the residents know if they're going to block off the street, either Red Fox or the other, is it Frosty Morning?
Yes.
The other, road, that they let the residents know, before they block the road.
Okay.
Thanks. One more thing, Matt, sorry.
Yes,
The ComEd situation,
yes.
have you been involved in that at all?
No, other than I know that NICOR came out to do their relocation that we had planned, and ComEd was in their way, so. Now NICOR's working with ComEd to get them to move theirs so they can move theirs.
We have a meeting at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
All right, you got the
Yep.
meeting, all
Yep, just calling that out this afternoon.
right, thanks. We'd like to get the project up
Yeah.
and going as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we gotta get it
They're
going.
running out of time anyway.
Yes.
That's it for me.
okay. Utilities,
Okay, do you wanna talk about well two first, and then we'll go into the,
Yeah, that's fine. So everybody knows we've had the vibration since we've redone well two there. Ernie from Cahoy Group, the group that pulled the well, he had a meeting with his company yesterday. We're still working out some stuff right now. It sounds like they're gonna extend the warranty another 6 months, because we're basically pushing the end of our warranty at the end of this month, so they're gonna extend the warranty 6 months. Ernie is gathering some data from PDC, the ones that rebuilt our motor in there, so he's gathering some data from them. We're gonna try to get another 40-horse motor, put that on, see if that eliminates the vibration, even though we've had our motor to PDC twice, in this project. We're gonna try to get our hands on another motor. So we're gathering data, we're working out some bugs. Like I said, this just came about, his information, his meeting with his company was yesterday, so, we're working on it. And as we progress, whatever, I'll update you, but it's an ongoing thing.
Did the shaft be met inside?
We don't know.
Did they check the shaft last time they did it?
Oh, yeah, everything went up and was,
Just thousands will make that thing vibrate.
right.
That's all.
The only way to do that is to pull the well again. So we're trying to start cheap and work our way, easy to hard is what we're trying to do.
That's the same vibration they've had for,
Since they installed it.
yeah, right? No, it's longer than that, right?
No, there was it gets kind of confusing, because when this well was pulled the last time, kind of like what Jared's talking about, there was a slight vibration notice, I believe is how Lane Christensen worded it. But we had a little bit more of a vibration. That's one of the reasons why we pulled it. We pulled it for several reasons. One, it was due. There was a slight vibration. But since the well has been redone, replaced, we have a pretty severe vibration, so. But yes, Jared, anything is possible right now. We're just trying to start with the easier stuff, that's, swapping a motor out, trying that. Like I said, that's why we changed the check valve and the gate valve. All that's simple things before we get to the real bad news stuff. So yes, you're correct. So, that's really it for well two. I'll update you when I know more. think that's it, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna kinda tell you a little bit about what we're talking about doing, and maybe give you the page numbers of what might be the most to, reflect over the next few weeks, and, we can go from there. So, Matt had the, water, rate study that he had done, I wanna say 2017, I think it's 2017. And, he went back, and we've gone over it multiple times, like, a couple years ago, and then, Brett and I and he got together again, a couple weeks ago, and we went back through and asked Matt to revise a few things, because after talking with Dan, and then I think everybody can recognize that we've had Rolling Meadows on the agenda for what seems like years anyways, it seems like. And so in talking to Dan, we had, some options in here where if Rolling Meadows were part of our water, situation, where the rates would be a little bit different. And Dan said at this point, you need to just stop thinking that that's gonna happen right now and just work with what you've got until that is, you know, further along the way. So in taking Rolling Meadows out of the equation to figure out the rate study and what to do with that, Matt went back and Brett and I and he sat down and figured out when any of the last, I guess, infrastructure has been replaced and machinery and everything else out there, to kind of give everybody an idea of the reason we need to look at our rates to begin with is the fact that if we completely depend upon the, landfill, it's gonna run out, and eventually we still have to replace all this equipment because it only has a certain life for a certain number of years. So I'm gonna give you a couple page numbers to jot down, so when you're going through it, it might be a little bit easier to go back and forth. If you're looking at the water system, page 45, if you downloaded the packet, page 45 is gonna tell you basically, and you might wanna go to that one first, but it's gonna tell you the last year it's either serviced or installed, all of the equipment for the water system, the equipment cost, and the service life of each piece, or, I guess, piece of equipment, that's the best way to say it.
Yep.
And the annual replacement cost. So all of these things, when we're thinking about rates, and everybody, and I know when we talk about rates, I know publicly, I know taxpayer, I know even on the board, everybody kind of freaks out when you talk about increasing rates, but we have to figure out how to bring that income in to do the service on the equipment that we have. So, and it'll give you an idea of when things, have been serviced and have not, and it'll also give you an idea of the things that are coming up, that again, we have nothing based on, other than, you know, every time we come to the board with an emergency expenditure or anything like that, it's not like we have a, necessarily like a savings account just for the equipment there technically.
Right.
Okay. So that's page 45, that would be for the water. I believe 93 is for wastewater. So if you scan down to 93, I believe that is wastewater updated. And I apologize for taking you back and forth, I just want to give you the pages, because I know this is not a decision made tonight, but I know these are places you need to be looking at, so we can make a decision as to what to do.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, what was the page?
93. I think it's just the easiest way to go about doing this, okay? And then the sheet Matt gave you tonight also has on there, because a lot of people are gonna say, oh my gosh, if we're raising our rates, that's ridiculous, ours is so high. Matt has a sheet that he handed out to everybody that'll give you the rates within the area around us, and you will very much find out that we are not, we are definitely not the highest. And that's not our goal, to become the highest either, by the way.
Looks like we're the lowest in Ogle County.
We are. We absolutely are. So then, let's see.
Well, we've been having this discussion for years.
Since before I was on the board, so just FYI.
We've been having this discussion
As it lands on my plate, as most
07.
stuff does.
Basically, the two reports, we want to make water and sewer, when they're audited, you'll see that they're business enterprises in your audit report. So you treat them as businesses. So when we did the rate study, you know, the only thing that the water and the sewer system will not pay for is the debt on the treatment plant. It's just too big to really pass along to all the customers. So until that's paid off, there will still be some subsidizing from the landfill revenue. But we can get to a point where there's really no debt on the water side. We can get the water side, basically, whatever you're charging, and user charge, you're gonna generate enough revenue to pay for those expenses. And eventually, you're gonna be to that point once the debt's paid off on the treatment plant as well.
Right.
And we've had boards agree in the past that we need to get to the point where you create that fund, that money is sitting there for these repairs. Not that you're gonna, save up the money this year and pay for it. It's gonna be over
It's
years
over
this
periods
is going
of
to build
years.
up. Because
Without
your lifetime of your equipment, you're gonna find out when you go to these pages, varies from item to item.
Yeah.
And the reason we always built the buildings the way we did, because it kinda takes them out of the mix, 'cause they were, a 99-year,
Yep.
was block over,
I mean,
over block.
When you think about it, the structures you have, majority of those structures are gonna be there 80, 100 years. They're just built that way. Certain things, like your water tower. Your water tower will be there 100. You just gotta paint the metal components of it to make sure it doesn't rust. You just gotta keep up on those maintenance items, but, you'll see down the list, a lot of those maintenance items we have on there, they're 5- and 6-figure maintenance items, so but some of those may reoccur every 5 to 10 years, others might be more 20 to 25 years.
And to Dina's point, that eventually, the landfill will go away, and at that point, our operating funds become a lot less, and we better have that money saved up to be able to do these, we should have the means in place that we can collect the money to do these services as they're required.
Because if we get into the
Not
point,
relying on the landfill.
right, and if we get into the point where we're reacting to everything as opposed to being proactive and figuring out how to do this ahead of time, the position that puts the village in is,
It does.
Did I read it right? Did you recommend that the water treatment rate go up to $8.39 per? Did I read that right?
Let me see here. I got too many handouts here.
$8.39 per 1,000 gallons?
are you talking combined water and wastewater?
It would be up to $8.60 per 1,000.
Is that combined or?
That's just for water, once we get to 2024.
Can I assume,
What was it for this year?
This year, we're at $3.50
No, I know,
on each one.
I know what it is. What are you recommending for the next year?
Oh, we wanted to go for next year, 2020, we wanted to go up to $5. We're basically looking at, on the water side, we're gonna do $1.50 next year, and then after that, we were gonna go up by 90 cents after that,
Per year?
per year.
before I answer that question, on this study,
Yes?
you're just referencing the cost of combined water and sewer as it relates to the individual home, not in relation to the population of the village or city, correct? Because the population on this thing is wrong by about 700 residents.
Right, yes, correct. Yep,
Because it's the 2000 census number.
yeah.
So then, secondly,
I should update that column too, but I just haven't. That's how old this chart is.
it could be, it's
He updated
irrelevant.
the other stuff,
It's
right.
irrelevant in what you're arguing
Yes,
about.
yep.
But, in retrospect, what you're saying about, raising the rate to the water and the sewer, and Rick can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that will be tied to a totally separate entity and negotiation that probably will be presented here in the next 2 months.
Not that. Water and sewer aren't part of that.
I know it's not, but with the reduction of another
I
fee,
understand that, but it would be very good together. But plain and simple, right, I mean, if nothing further happens with the landfill, we're sitting at, 7 years is the current estimate, and we're gonna, well, based on our negotiations with them, I think they're at 7. Does that sound right, William?
I believe so.
We have to start building that fund up for the day that's gone, because the day that's gone, it's just done.
I believe the water and sewer rates are gonna go up, because this board's been talking about it for gosh, probably 3-4
And it
years.
would, in all honesty, it would've been a whole lot easier to do this over
And-
time and brought it up slowly than to,
And-
now we're sitting in a position where we need to bring it up more substantially.
Not
Well,
really.
it's the same, but we should've been doing crop
Not really, no. Because honestly, when you're talking about over a period of time, and when you say this is like substantial,
No. I'm saying we should have done this in the past.
Yeah.
We should have been slowly bringing this up. We shouldn't have to be bringing this up by this amount now. We should have already been partially on our way, and we weren't. And that's no failure of yours. That's no ding against you. That's a ding against us.
this is just a waste.
Yeah, it's,
I believe there's gonna be a rate study, I believe there's gonna be a rate increase on both water and sewer,
There will be.
that the residents won't even be, I don't wanna say aware of, but they're not gonna feel the pinch.
The impact
I
is not
agree.
gonna be,
The impact will
Crazy.
not be dramatic, and there probably will actually be a reduction in their monthly rate, with that being an increase in.
It's a very
They're-
optimistic outlook.
Their monthly,
is.
How would it go
But-
down?
hold on, I wanna clarify.
Not on warranty.
It'll be a reduction in their monthly bill.
Not the
Monthly
rate.
rate, monthly utility
That
bill.
bill.
Yes.
Yes, not the
Yes.
rate, but the
Not the
bill.
rate, correct.
You don't notice the difference.
I think there will be a reduction in correlation to an increase in the water and sewer.
To be
That's my
equal.
belief.
so basically, what I need you guys to really look at
The
is,
truth of the matter is you have to raise that
we do.
somewhat. It's the
We
matter
have
of
to support the
degree.
system that we have.
It's the
Absolutely.
matter of
Yeah.
degree, you know,
Right.
and
And,
it
please,
should be based
Dina,
on usage.
I really hope you didn't take that as a
No,
substantial, as a, cause
No, I
it was
didn't.
really, it was,
Denied.
it was really, it was really more of a failure of past boards, of
no,
not
I
increasing
didn't
this
take it as
along
that.
the
What
way.
wanted to make sure that the residents did not think it was gonna be you used the word substantial.
Substantial.
And I didn't want residents thinking that it's not a huge impact when you look at over the period of the next 6 years. I think I have
Right.
6. So the wording was all I was just like,
Okay.
and then the other.
But the impact is a matter of degree on your ability to
Depends how much
pay.
water
That is
you-
correct, and the usage too. So we made our assumptions on the average family of 5,000 gallons. Now granted, we know there are families that have multiple families within one household, so that's not an average of 5,000 gallons.
Well, it's $9 to me, is what it would be.
And then, yeah, so it depends on, like, if you're a single person in a home, obviously you don't use 5,000 gallons. So, and you're absolutely right, if there's, the ability to pay does impact everyone on what they have for the budget. But we can't continue to ignore it, I guess, is what I'm saying too. We've gotta do something,
Well-
and that's why we talked about doing it in a tiered system as well, as opposed to doing it and moving all the way. So Matt went back through, and if you look at, just basically, page 94 is kind of the summation of it all, where you can look at on the, from year to year, where we're at now, water and wastewater all together, and then where it would go throughout the year. So, I mean, it would be kind of nice as a resident as well, you'd be able to see where it's gonna be and where it's gonna go based on the usage.
It's, it was to me, it was always a point of, nobody wanted to pass a water and sewer increase on their election cycle.
Oh, nobody's gonna want, yeah, so I won't be reelected, but that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Tuesday night.
I mean, here's the thing, the other thing too, people can be very, very frustrated about it. I'm a taxpayer, I live here, and I can be frustrated all I want about taxes or anything else. The bottom line is, I chose to live here, I wanna support the systems that we have, I wanna support the roads that we have and the education that we have. So my choice as a taxpayer is I choose to live here, I do that. And if I want clean water and I want a good system, I don't want to have to look at rusty water and disgusting stuff. So that is what I choose to do, and otherwise, if I don't like it, then, you know, we can't expect to get everything for free all the time.
I mean,
I was trying to raise them when I had 5 teenagers at home.
I mean,
Well, and you have to look at, we have, the homework is here, which shows you,
Well,
If-
when they see the cost of what it costs to replace
Right.
this, and that's what I would like people to also be aware of, like, so like when we're talking to residents and they're watching this or whatever, I would like them to come, and, I mean, this is public information as far as the water study, I would like them to look at what it costs to, the expenses for the system out there, what it costs to replace things, what we keep on talking about, all these things that are coming up, and if you look at the number of years and how it's aging out, I'm not trying to be like, oh, everybody be afraid, I'm just saying, this is something people have to be aware of.
Is one of the issues with Rolling Meadows the cost of our water?
I'm sorry.
Getting them on.
No, we haven't even gotten to those discussions of the cost with him yet, getting him to, we've talked about it briefly, but
Well, I mean,
we've
how
been
much
off
of
that
an
discussion for a while. We've been arguing about other things.
I mean, the thing about it is, if the estimates on the landfill are correct, I mean, if it's 7 years, which seems like a long time now, I mean, if that revenue goes down significantly or to zero, you know, and stuff, you gotta balance the water and sewer side, which is gonna be a huge
Can't
increase
start
this
that
side.
year.
Huge.
Yeah, we should've started it when this was, when the whole system started is when
Yep.
it should've started.
I'm sorry, John,
Absolutely.
what'd you say?
I said that's the least of our problems, the water increase if the landfill goes away.
Yes, there
Well,
will be.
it's not, but it's a significant amount of money out of our general fund every year. And I'll use significant on that one, because it is. I mean, water and sewer costs us a lot of money to operate.
Huge, yes.
So,
And
if
we talk
we
capital
can
improvements,
get,
we
if
can't
we
do
can
that.
get that to stand alone off its own fees,
Make
if
no
that does end,
The burden changes then.
Yes.
Yes,
Make no
absolutely.
mistake, this village is 100% subsidiated by the landfill.
absolutely.
And
Oh.
this village board, in the next
Everything
12
we
to
have, yeah.
24 months, is gonna have to make a firm decision whether they wanna continue that practice or not. And that decision will hinder on the water and sewer rates and property taxes and everything else. So Rick and I will be bringing a presentation here probably anywhere between 6 and 18 months to the board. And this board will have to make a determination whether we wanna continue subsidizing the daily operations of this village, or if we wanna cut ties and throw it to the wolves, so to speak.
So, kind of piggybacking on the information that you shared, Dina, and I kinda, if we do something for the public, I'd like to tie this in. Brenda and I, put together the numbers recently on what the average household pays in taxes
Mhm.
right now. And so for every $100,000 of value in a household right now, they're contributing just under $63 in
Oh.
taxes. It is, to the village.
And I
That's
got-
the
and I-
village's portion of the
The
tax.
last I knew Stillman was at was 184,
Are you saying property tax?
property
Are
tax.
you saying property tax or taxes?
And again,
Property tax.
and again, this is one of those things, you can't wait till the year that all the money's gone from the landfill and go, hey, we need to bump this way up because we didn't plan ahead.
Yeah, Brenda and I took a breakdown of what our tax rate is, and then whatever the calculations was, and we double checked it against our own village tax bill. So, but that's not enough to sustain water or wastewater.
For example, one of the communities on the list, Tampico, small community just south of Rock Falls, they had not had invested anything in their water or sewer system for about 10 years. Got a violation notice at the treatment plant. It was just basically equipment just falling apart. So we did a study and we said, here's what we think you're gonna need to invest over the next 5-6 years in both the water and wastewater. It didn't solve everything, but it made a dent on the big items. You can see that their monthly combined water and sewer is at $80.75. They were, before we started, about $37 a month for combined, and they increased it to that amount in 2 years.
They did the same thing.
They phased it in over 2 years,
What's the gated community north of Belvedere?
Oh,
$50 a month.
Candlewick, they did the
Candlewick.
same thing out there, they had the same problem, they also.
We've, in Tampico, it's,
Candlewick, though, is that was a privately run community,
Right.
not a public infrastructure.
Mhm.
That's separate.
Same issue, though.
Right.
They didn't prepare, and they got hit, and then all of a sudden rates.
Well, this board is not advocating that we double the price in 2 years,
No,
are they?
no.
no,
Have to
this
start.
is,
And
this
if you
is
look
a,
at the years, that's not what, yeah. for-
yeah, we've got, the water's going out to 2024 and the wastewater's going out to 2025, and quite frankly, when you get there, you just gotta see where your budgets are at. That's just to get us to a revenue point where we're basically, you know, meeting the budget that we're wanting to meet at this point.
When you, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
And the only way you're gonna grow on that is
The more
through-
residents you
through-
have. the
yes, more
residents.
customers, whether it's commercial, industrial, residential
Did you
customers.
factor that in?
What's that?
Did you
No.
factor that in?
We didn't factor in any growth, so if you get growth, I mean, the only thing that you're gonna increase on the growth side of it is really a lot of your electrical, chemical costs. I mean, generally speaking, unless you really expand the system, you're probably not gonna be expanding staff or things like that. So you, incrementally, you know, as you grow, your revenue should increase faster than what your expenses should.
And when we talked about, like when we originally had this done, honestly, we felt like we were closer to Rolling Meadows than we'd been in quite a while. And then that took like such a huge step in a different direction, and it seems a little bit more difficult than it needs to be at this point. But we can't even include that as a possible growth point yet. I mean, so I don't know.
No, I don't think that's gonna substantially reduce his numbers.
Would have been nice on the long term.
Well, it would give us a volume there where we can spread that cost out. It would keep the end number of, because they would be, you know, basically your largest water customer, water and sewer customer, so, it would make the rest of the customers' overall bill be a little bit less. But even if we start, you know, even if we start with a rate increase that's gonna be, you know, possibly 4 or 5 years on the water, 5, 6 on the sewer, if by chance Rolling Meadows does come through in 3 years, we evaluate it and we see whether, you know, the future increases need to be that high on the rest of the customers. Because you're gonna have basically a big revenue source there.
So,
And with the negotiations with them, we have been showing them we're gonna do exactly what we said we would do, so hopefully that will help build the trust with them, and we can get back to negotiating. We haven't changed our opinion with them, our stance with them. We got into, when we made it through our settlement with them, we've done exactly what we said we would.
absolutely.
And that's what we want to, so we're hoping that that's gonna build the faith with them to take us at face value when we're telling them things.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, you know, they'd be a good customer from a revenue side, but they'd also be a good customer for what I would say the health of the water system as well, because you got a lot of big water main heading out for potential development out there at 72 and 251 and beyond, and to be able to turn that water over so you're not having to flush on a regular basis to keep residual chlorines up, and it'd be just a good customer to have at kind of the end of your system.
If you ever wanna contemplate a great public hearing, try to think of the public hearing at the end of the life of the landfill. If you do nothing to adjust the property taxes between now and then, of trying to because you're gonna raise 5% a year without a public hearing, and if all of a sudden you're trying to raise that rate to meet minimum, operating expenses that the residents have come to expect from the amount of money we make off the landfill, that would be a real fun meeting to be sitting in, because you're just gonna get it handed to you every time you turn around.
Well, and I think the other thing that when we talk about, like, with residents, and I will own the fact, too, that before I was on the board, might have crossed my mind as well, that, you know, we thought about how much, the village, how much money we take in, and yeah, but I don't think people understand as well, because, again, I don't make it public, and I should have done a better job at that all along, making public how much it costs to run the system, maintain the system, and that's the part that Brett has been really good about helping me start talking about that, having those conversations all along, and bringing the pictures to the board and sharing things, so people are aware that it's not just something that happens, it's something that you have to do.
There's a lot of mechanical devices
huge
out
amount
and,
that I have no idea.
and both the water and wastewater side, and it's no different than your car. I mean,
You gotta get
oil
those-
change and, you know, some of these things, you know, you're, at some point, you just gotta trade the car in and buy new, and that's what you have with a lot of the water wastewater equipment. You just, at some point, you gotta trade it in and buy new.
So that being said, we need to, I don't know if we can, you know, keep this on the agenda. What we'd like to do when we talk about the rates, and if you're looking at page 94 to get an idea of what you'd be talking about with, them combined, we'd like to do something and get this started where we're talking like this winter, like when we come into get that taken care of. So like in January, we were talking January, right, Matt? Like
Yep.
January of 2020, getting that started. Because I don't wanna be talking about this in June of 2020, and then we're already behind the 8 ball again. I don't wanna do that, so.
January's usually, a lot
Best
of,
time ever.
a lot of communities do, when they do rate increases, they do them in
Your
January,
your least
just low usage.
And it gets well ahead of your budget time.
Always an
Well,
angle.
but then you can adjust as
Right.
well, yeah.
Yep.
Would you like me to add this to unfinished business?
That'd be great.
Sure.
I think,
And that way it stays in this cycle and operating fine.
are you, planning on, passing like, at the yearly thing, or are you planning on passing for 1 year? Sorry,
I personally, and Matt and Brett, I would love for your feedback and the boards as well, if we're gonna do this, I would like to do it for the multiple years at a time, since we have it already laid out, and then we can always, if people are absolutely against that, I mean, that's up for conversation, but I would personally prefer to do what we have laid out for the next 6 years.
I think we'd have to double check with Dan or David
Okay.
on how far out we can
Oh,
actually
okay.
go. There may be some restriction on how far in advance you can schedule those.
Well, then okay.
I just was
So,
wondering.
Yeah,
You-
I wouldn't
you
have
want
thought
the-
there'd be restrictions on that.
2020
so
may
sure.
be only a 1 year.
The max that Dan and
Okay.
David give you blessing for is what you'd like?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
I guess I was away for 2 years, but I would have to wonder why we would ever want to sever a relationship from the landfill who was giving us a substantial amount of money. So I guess somebody can catch me up on why we would want to sever a relationship?
Do you care if we finish this conversation first?
No, that's fine.
Okay, 'cause I don't know the answer to that, but I'd like to finish this first. So, yeah, as long as Dan and David can give us an idea of time frame that's possible, whatever that is, I would like to do that, as opposed to year by year. My concern with year by year is then again, having the conversation year by year, and then the expenses, 'cause I feel like then we'd have to really definitely do some different updates year by year, and then it's gonna be more expenses there too.
Besides this board meeting, are we, planning on floating this idea to the public for comment or whatever prior? Just wondering.
I would
Such
table that
in the next week.
conversation and answer to a later date.
Fine, no
We
problem.
gotta figure out what to put in
Whenever you would like to pick it back up.
Update.
It will be on the recurring agenda.
Yeah,
so
it'll be on unfinished, 'cause
Alright.
Put it on there under.
Because I'm hoping that they actually come and take a look at this, and I would,
Oh,
yeah,
we're putting this out. That's what I'm,
I would assume it's public
on-
record, right? Or no?
It has not been distributed publicly.
Disseminated.
But anybody
to
could
the
come and
public.
look at it, right?
I don't know, I read it and I had a hard time with it.
So I was actually thinking maybe the alternative is, if I could work with you and we could break down,
Of course, I read it on my phone.
something a little bit more manageable for the public to digest.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I mean, if-
Simplify it.
Maybe we could, maybe me and you
Reader's
could work
Digest.
together and try and, break down something that's a little bit easier for the public to understand and digest.
Well, and honestly, yeah,
And me
'cause I
too.
think there's some,
I had
I
a
mean-
hard time with it.
So what we've
because
been-
the actual study that we had done had all of the other options and all this other, I would
Yeah.
rather just focus on the pages that are
Well, and so what Rick and I have been doing is in our rail, we've been doing articles that say, breaking down what our budget is to simplified numbers, just because nobody wants to trudge through the rest of it.
well, even the
Is-
sheets
Only
that
if,
talk
only if you're an
about
accountant.
the year that the system was just serviced or replacement.
Yeah.
Just those grids in there over the next period, a few months, would really be helpful for people to see.
Yeah, and so maybe we can do something that we can share on our website and Facebook and put in the
Who's it?
rail and.
Sure.
We're just trying to be as transparent with the public as we can, and trying to bring it, like she said, into just,
Awareness.
right.
So
Just really-
why don't we start with, you let me know what you would like in an article or something like that, and then I will doodle something and then give it back to you for your approval blessing.
Okay.
Pages, whatever. And just let me know which pages of those 100 pages are
I know,
important to you.
yeah. Alrighty, you got it.
And if anybody else on the board, I mean, the reports are long, it's probably tough to do in a large
Yeah,
large
everyone
group.
does it.
I mean, as long as we get in small enough that we don't violate any Open Meetings Act, I mean, I'd be happy to meet with people either individually or
Yeah,
if in groups of
No-
two,
Yes, no more than two.
no more than two, and if you have questions, I can go through, and it'd probably be a lot easier in smaller groups to kind of go through the reports, and you can kind of hopefully understand the numbers behind it, and, because
It's a lot.
there's a lot in there, yes, there are.
And there's
yes,
one of each that are.
Yes.
It's a lot.
There's a lot of there's a lot of moving components to the village as a whole, and this is one of them that kind of, dips into multiple areas. I would actually suggest in 2 weeks, the next committee meeting, go into closed session for, under contract negotiations or whatever.
can't.
No, and that's what I was just asking her, we're gonna talk about it afterwards, see what we can throw it on the agenda for, so we can do an update, but I gotta figure out what it'd be
Pending
It
under.
doesn't matter, you can't.
Pending
You
litigation.
can't. That is
Why
why
not?
the two of you have been selected, you can't. We can
I
argue about that
disagree
after
with
the meeting.
I disagree.
But in that case, we can pull you
Somebody
aside
can
in
see
ones
what's
and
on.
twos and talk to you.
Yeah.
One with me and one with him for two.
So we do.
Yeah, David has made it explicitly clear that we cannot, and that is why the two of you are the representatives of this municipality. Yes.
At some point, we are gonna have to
Yes.
inform the board.
Yes, when you're ready to go into open session with
And
it.
I'm getting
I totally
a little
disagree with that.
anxious to hear all this landfill stuff, what's going on.
Yeah.
Because
It's-
this has been going on since I've been on the board
I
and
can-
longer.
It's been going on about 4 years.
I will double check with
I-
David
I
that we're not
totally
to a point that
do
that
not
can
agree with
occur.
that theory and analogy, and David can defend us in court, that's his job. He can give us a recommendation, I still say we go into closed session and discuss it under pending litigation, because that's exactly what it is.
And we're paying a lawyer bill on this too, so that keeps on
If somebody wants to
lawyer.
sue us over it, hell, we've been
There-
sued, I don't know, a dozen
Well,
times.
let me find out from David if we can go under pending
I don't
litigation,
understand,
because
As you're.
there literally could be litigation to this if
Correct.
negotiations.
Correct. Absolutely.
Up until this point, David has told me absolutely not, and as your Open Meetings Act officer, I have to follow his advice.
No, you don't have to, you have to do what the village.
I have
I'll
to
chat
do
with
what the
David.
I have to do what the state of Illinois has given me the authority to do, and has
You can
told
put
me what the
anything on the
rules are.
agenda, it's, you're not held liable
We're
for the
over
agenda,
you.
he is.
Was this all regarding my question as to why we
Yeah.
would want
Yes.
to
We,
separate?
we wouldn't,
That's never gonna
we,
get
to answer your
done.
question, we wouldn't
Well,
sever ties. If it came down to anything, we would be with the contract we
The
currently.
board has an entitlement to know what is going on with the village
I
and
don't disagree with
negotiations
that.
and pending litigation. So David can give us a recommendation, it's up to this board whether we determine whether we want to follow that recommendation or not. And I say the board needs to be informed.
I agree,
need
but
to
we're not gonna,
hold
we're not gonna violate the Open Meetings Act to do it.
It's not a violation of the meetings.
Can I talk to
So-
David, please,
I'll talk to him.
before we hash this out?
Sorry, where are we at now?
Tomorrow.
So
I
the,
will share with Sandy what I would
Believe it or
like-
not, it's all intertwined.
And that's the
I
problem.
apologize for that,
So, and that's
It
why
very
it's so
much
hard.
is.
So like, we're having
Oh.
like multiple conversations, and so like, as we're bringing this up, thinking, okay, finally we got this conversation on the
sorry for
table.
that, but-
No, I mean, but I get where your frustration is, because we're trying to have a conversation
Yes.
about something that we can't finish the conversation until we know the other pieces, and it's very frustrating, so I get that. And then where others are thinking that you're withholding
I
information
know,
when you're
And I
not.
apologize, we're not
Right.
trying to, we're just doing what we've been tasked to do.
so this
And
wouldn't be
I
a,
want to inform all of you, because these, what you've been talking about for the past
Depends
20
on-
minutes,
Yeah,
it's been in a roundabout way, it's been a part of the conversation, but.
Correct.
this wouldn't be a volunteering separation, is what you meant to say.
Well, we have a contract with
But
them,
we're not
so
gonna
it's
discuss
not-
it as
Again, like I said, John, it would not be
Again.
it would not be a severing of ties. If everything falls through, we are sitting right back with the contract we currently
Yeah,
have.
yep.
So it's not severing ties. It would
Because-
just be throwing away everything we've done.
Because to make if that was to go away, I mean, you're gonna affect the livelihood of a lot of people who live here, including myself, because you're looking at a minimum of $1,500 more on a house to live here.
More than that.
Or more than that,
Well,
and that's
and
life
that-
changing for
that's also
myself.
where this,
But sometimes you don't get a choice.
right,
I
and
mean,
that's,
if they decide to
that's when the
close,
board
they
has
decide
to figure out too.
You're just, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
That's all a move.
Well, I'm just saying, if they decide to close, that's, it's not this board cannot tell them they have to stay open. It's up to them. Now, the negotiations maybe,
I'm sorry
Whatever,
to
but-
talk about water rate study.
It's-
Too much
Well,
It
then-
is
going
a,
on,
Then I think you would have to come back and look at the budget, and I think
And
you
this
would
is
have to
why we'll
look
be
at
talking.
new equipment
you-
not to happen. You'd have to
Oh, no,
change a lot of the
there'd
way you spend money.
absolutely.
when we can get to the point that we can inform you what's
Big time.
going on, you'll be amazed at all the stuff that's happened. And how we started at square or negative one at one point in time. It's just been an amazing,
Well, whether they stay or go, at some point, we're gonna have to raise
Well-
water and sewer rates. It's just how much.
Correct.
So I will get with you,
Yeah.
and the only things we'll share
And
is,
I'm not looking forward to paying them, I'm just saying.
I get it,
All right.
yeah, I get it, and nobody else will either,
Yeah.
and again, that's why I'm probably the best person to do this right now.
I didn't like
so.
the state raising the gas tax 19 cents either, but,
I didn't really have a choice, I live in
right.
Illinois,
And you
so.
gotta
I don't live
maintain the
close enough
roads,
to the
right?
border.
So I will get with you, I think the first things that we'll probably put out there is just literally, the cost of,
Maintenance.
Yeah. and we'll just go from, and the age of everything.
And we can also do a multi-part piece, so that hopefully by the time we get to the last part of the series,
Yeah,
this board is.
I think that's probably
better
logical,
positioned.
yeah.
If you have a cost and a life expectancy and the age,
I think that's a perfect
it's all
starter.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's information
That's what I
that's
mean,
necessary
to
to
the
know.
public, to the
Yeah.
public, and they'll
Because
understand
the
that.
common sense
The
comes
stuff
in.
doesn't last
You
forever.
want to shoot it to me before it
Are
goes
you
in the
enjoying this,
article, and
Kenny?
I'll read it and proof it, and
Well, the
see what-
truth
see if I can
is,
add something
I'll
to
just
it.
say, Matt, look
if
at
and
page
when the
whatever
public
Yeah.
sees that they
Yeah.
actually pay less than what it costs us,
I will
then
probably do
maybe
that,
they
yeah.
understand
We've put that out every
Okay.
other year for
an
the past
incremental
10
increase
years.
wouldn't be so bad.
And we've,
How it goes.
And it's far better than it was at
I
one
don't
point in
pay
time.
more either.
And that's really all I have.
All right.
do you wanna hold off on?
Sorry.
Don't make me call you Deanna.
I know.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Took me weeks to get here.
Since he's done. Unfinished business, Rolling Meadows water is still unfinished and gonna remain that way. Mosquito spraying, we talking to, what?
Pending.
Pending. I'll actually be discussing that with, Becky this week. Sidewalks are still, we're still working on those. Just for information, Thursday night, we'll be attending the Northern Illinois Mayor's Association in Stillman Valley.
Oh,
They're hosting it again,
when is that?
Thursday.
This
Okay.
Thursday, what time?
What time is it, 7?
7.
Who's gonna go? Oh,
Is that open to everybody?
We're allowed to
if
bring
it-
2 people.
If it is, I need your RSVP as we speak right now because the deadline was yesterday.
no, that's okay. I'm out. I went last time and I really enjoyed myself and I learned a lot, but I'm gonna be out of town, thank you.
We are trying to, they are trying to bring in,
How we work.
we are opening it up to other people within other communities that don't regularly attend. Like, I went last week and invited, or, yeah, it was last week, and invited the entire board at Monroe Center, since their mayor, when I invited him, he said he had something to do that day.
But he's coming.
But he's coming, he replied, so I think it's phenomenal.
That's
So
great.
Steve, thank you. We'll see you there. But again, we're trying to open it up to, trying to get it out there that it doesn't have to be the mayors that attend. It can be any 2 members of their board. So that's why when I went there last week or week before, I invited their entire board, because at least get somebody there to participate, because there is a lot of information that changes hands. And the one we had in Belvedere last month was, we had a representative from the IML board, to give you the update.
The
Yes.
IML Executive Director.
So it was wonderful to have that and actually get the legislative update right from them. So
I mean, Brenda and I have attended in representation of the Village of Davis Junction.
So there, we have moved the meetings to quarterly instead of 6 times a year. And if everything goes the way Hugh from Stewart, plans, I will probably be the president of the Northern Illinois Mayors Association this Thursday night.
Sucker.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
Because nobody else
Sorry,
wants
was that all?
it. But we'll see. It's only 4 meetings now, so that's not so bad. But that'll be this Thursday.
What you have to do is you miss a meeting.
We decided what restaurant yet?
Yes,
voted
it's a
in.
nickel.
All right.
Oh. I think it's a nickel.
So if you do wanna go, if you guys do wanna come attend, by all means, let her know.
Yeah.
She can shoot that in yet, but typically they've
Your own
reduced it.
personal bug.
No,
It is, it's right there.
it's like, it
No
came
problem.
over, wandered over here, you can have it.
Typically from the municipalities that have participated, it's 2 a month, but they've opened it up in the meantime because they were trying to get the participation up. So I invited, Monroe Center and I invited Creston, 2 of the people I've known, so trying to get them both there. I have not received word back from Creston.
I did not receive word that they are.
Wayne Williams is their, or Donald Williams, whichever one he goes by, is their village president, and so I invited him. Anything public? No public? Anything further from the board members?
The only thing
No.
that I had, and I've been thinking about this for a couple weeks, and I know we're a few years out, however, like this would take significant planning. The village in the next 3 to 5 years is coming up on our 150th anniversary.
2025?
I would, suggest that we plan a pretty big celebration and maybe, construct a monument and celebration or some sort of an event.
Have a hoedown.
I wanna make sure we have, being that we're all here, or anybody's here, any one of us, I would like to start getting those plans laid, but right now, we're still, it's 6 years, but that's gonna go fast.
Agreed, but I think,
Right.
I think we should actually, you know, something like our
Never do.
Veterans Memorial, have a monument like that, which does take 2 to 3 years to design,
Right.
construct, build, implement, and install.
Is that the name of our new 10-acre park?
What's that?
Like 150th?
100-acre
150th Anniversary park, and then we'll put the statue in there?
How much
Oh,
is
I
mine?
believe that's gonna be the, Orchard Hills Landfill Park.
We'll
Just
just
throwing
call
that out there.
It needs a name besides 10 acres.
it does need a name besides 10 acre. And that was something we
I
discussed the
tried
other.
that years ago, and you guys like.
No, this is
doing
something we
that.
just discussed again the other day is, I mean, we don't wanna put it out for perfect public, we don't, you know, if any of you know the Bodie McBoatface story, do you know it? Okay, they ended up naming the ship the Sir Richard Attenborough, or David Attenborough, whichever one it is. But they did name one of the submersibles Bodie McBoatface. So that's the issue you run into if you put it up to purely,
You can't-
public input.
can't do that.
They've actually ended up with, I think it was a Florida school that ended up Schoolie McSchoolface also.
I said Parky McParkface works.
Exactly, see, so, we talked about whether or not we would come up with historic people from the village, and put them out there as suggestions and see what people wanted to vote on, or if we wanted to leave it open. If we wanted to rename it, do we
I would like to
wanna,
have a pretty big celebration for the 150th, and have a monument design built.
Any ideas on what type of monument?
A train,
What
I've
type
had
of
no idea.
train would you like?
a steam engine.
What model? What year?
The big one.
Would you want a coal
Big boy,
car? No
yeah.
coal
No,
car?
who's our resident train buff?
These are the problems of when we start talking about the train, is nobody
Exactly.
decides what the train looks like.
And then John will say stick figures, so.
There you
Well,
go.
no.
And Brenda will have her know, yes.
We've been down this road so many times.
Yeah, we never got anywhere with, I don't know how many different suggestions.
All right. We're gonna push closed session off next week.
No.
That way if we do have one, if we can find a way to update the board, we will,
Train right there.
and we'll have it all at once. Anything further from the board members?
Yes, tomorrow night is our farmer's market. Forgot to say that.
Excellent.
Third one.
I
And,
do like that taco truck.
and the pulled pork nachos rock.
I had the pulled pork sandwich, it took 2 of us to
Name it
eat it,
Village
was
Mart.
The
massive.
tacos, the burritos, awesome.
Truck?
The
pulled
rosettes
pork,
are
yeah.
really
So
good.
who are the 6 new vendors?
And he's not
Or
really.
4 new
a truck.
vendors? Are they a food or are they?
Oh,
No,
how much?
the sweet corn guy,
Are you trying to think of who's there tomorrow?
Yeah,
The new vendors.
I can't remember.
I saw the post come out.
Well, last week there was the first time that we've had a particular farmer come. I'm hoping he's coming back again, 'cause their fruit was delicious.
I'll second.
I do know that there's some new in the sales side, like Paparazzi is gonna be there now.
Oh, yeah.
And, the cupcakes will not be there tomorrow.
No, sure.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
We'll make sure we're adjourned, John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? We are adjourned at 8:19.